So today the other thing we're going to talk about and you're going to work with in class is the jigsaw. Now this is a jigsaw. Jigsaw and bandsaw kind of have some similarities because the jigsaw is a handheld version that also allows you to make sweeping arc cuts and other straight cuts and things. A little different than say like the circular saw, which has that big round blade and it's binding, so you can't do an arc or some of the other things that you may want to do decorative, or circles to fit plumbing pieces through or something like that. And so the jigsaw allows you to do that on a handheld device. It's not as accurate and not as smooth as a bandsaw, and so when you're doing delicate work and you have the opportunity to use the bandsaw, that's kind of recommended. But if you're in construction or other places where you need to fit the saw to where you're working, the jigsaw works great. This jigsaw is a pretty straightforward device. You have a trigger right here, and that's how you start it. You have a blade speed, and so you can adjust the speed, and I'll show you how that works in just a minute. You have your table, which will also, just like all the other tools, you flip this forward, and you can make angled cuts. That table will move back and forth to make an angled cut. I don't want to do too much because I've got it kind of set where I want it right now, but you lock that in. This is kind of the precision of a cut. You can cut a lot of different materials with a jigsaw depending on the kind of blade that you have. And you can kind of see we've got metal, PVC and plastics, OSB, or sometimes called particle board, and then straight up lumber. And this dial adjusts kind of how tight or tension this piece is where the blade sits. And so we're going to be cutting some OSB, so we'll have that set on number 2. To replace a blade or to put a new blade in, this is kind of a jigsaw blade. It usually has a little tip there. This is a dual purpose blade, mostly for lumber and wood. You can probably cut some plastic PVC with it, but definitely not a blade for metal. A blade for metal is going to have a much finer, smaller tooth. These are kind of rough and more jagged. But to do that, I don't know if you need to zoom in or, but to put that blade in, I'm going to try to do this for the camera. We'll see how that works. You take this piece right here and you turn it all the way over so that these little notches line up. And once those notches are lined up, you take your blade with the teeth facing out and you slide it in. Once that blade is slid in, you'll release this piece until it locks, and you'll feel you can pull on it and it won't pop out. You want to make sure that the blade is sitting in this tracking device for the precision piece, right in the center groove, and that it's locked in. And it's as simple as that. To release or take that blade out, you just push that button again and it pops right out. You turn it over to the right. Slide it in and make sure it's locked in there in place. Now your saw is basically ready to go. It's set up and ready. You can plug it in, and once you fire it up, if we're set on tool, we're going to cut that OSB. You turn it on. Always kind of start at the lowest setting, and then you turn this dial, and that'll increase the speed. And you can see, so now Kevin here, he's ready to make a cut. He's going to make a couple different cuts to show you today. First cut he's going to make is he's going to kind of do a notch, and so you can kind of see that you can come in really easy and match up to cut like a notch out, and then he's going to do an arc or a circle type cut similar to kind of on the bandsaw. Kevin's ready to go. He knows he's cutting OSB. You can see that that's for the precision that's on the dial, and he'll start with that on the lower setting, and then you'll speed that up to basically it's kind of a comfort level, and you'll kind of know as you use it a few times where that speed should be. And so go ahead, Kevin, we'll give her a try. He's going to start with the saw back, making sure the blade does not touch the wood when he pulls the trigger. He'll pull the trigger and then he'll adjust that speed a little bit, and then he'll start his cut. So you could see while Kevin's changing over how he adjusted his speed when he knew that he felt the saw jump a little bit and things, so that's when he knew to speed that up. Kind of the faster that goes, the easier it is to control in this type of lumber. So go ahead and cut your notch. Perfect. So now we've got a great notch. The nice part about the jigsaw versus like a circular saw is you can circular saw that with that rounded blade. You can't come to perfect corners like that. You always have to go farther back or in and then make other cuts. And so the jigsaw allows you to come to a perfect corner. Kevin's going to do kind of a sweeping arc now. And so there you have it, just a nice easy way to make those cuts. You can see, you know, where the bandsaw we had a nice smooth edge because of that finer blade based on the jigsaw and the thickness of the blade and some of those things. It does get a little more jagged, and that's why there's a different way you have the two different tools for some other reasons too. But that's the basics on that. On Tuesday in class again, we'll come in, take the safety test, and then you guys have a chance to do guided practice.